Hey guys, welcome back to Fandom Sage Powers, where we discuss comics, heroes, villains, and the Dawn. Dawn of X, that is. We are going back in to my Dawn of X Volume 2, Part 2 review. We pick up in the pages of the New Mutants, with the crew having gotten themselves stuck in a sticky situation after getting caught up with the Starjammers. We get an opening sequence of Roberto da Costa pretty much recounting the events thus far in his own words. Okay, so where to start? First off, I'm a pretty persuasive guy. People love me. But even I had to lay it on pretty thick to convince my friends to leave paradise and head into outer space to rescue my best friend from the clutches of a space empire, a space wife from Iowa, and his inevitable, regrettable dad bod from being a space dad. Everyone finally agreed to go after I promised them they could use my third best house in Rio during Carnival. Sure, they think it's my second best house because I've got a secret pad I never told anyone I bought. And let me tell you, I'm not going to. It's a Nehemiah. But anyway, they were in. Before I left, because I've learned this lesson the hard way twice, I went to see my Earth lawyers to make sure all the things at X-Corp could be in good hands if this takes longer than I think it will. They're really good Earth lawyers, and I know this because they cost a lot. I was in a hurry, so I just signed whatever they put in front of me. But I got it done because I'm responsible, because I'm a businessman. We hitched a ride with some space pirates. They have a cool ship, and frankly, they are pretty cool looking themselves. But if I was put to the question, if I was being honest, I don't think they're very good at actual pirating. I mean, Rain stole the thing that they were after and left them holding the box it came in, and I stole all their liquor. And yes, while they did leave us in a pretty tough spot, if we were keeping score, it still would be New Mutants 2, Space Pirates 1. So take that, Starjammers. After that, we ended up getting arrested, which normally wouldn't be that big of a deal because my Earth lawyers know some pretty decent space lawyers. But while we were waiting to get bailed out, they made us wear these terrible prison outfits. They were made of like the worst cotton ever, like 20 thread count or something, which was infuriating because I have sensitive skin. No one likes being in jail and no one likes being itchy, but everyone was. At first, a few of the guys were worried about how dangerous space prison might be, but Eliana just kept summoning her giant sword every time a fight broke out, and then if guards tried to take it from her, she made it disappear. They did keep locking her up in solitary confinement, but you know that doesn't really work for a teleporter. Eventually, my space lawyer got us an expedited court date, but I wasn't happy because he said it was a week away. He explained to me that space was big and it took time for everything to line up with travel and whatnot. I said to him, yeah, space is big, but I'm big, so you better haul ass to space court because I need some satisfaction. My friends have stopped talking to me. Now it's 3 days later, and here we are in space court. And I'll tell you one thing, that's true as any true thing I've ever said. If my space lawyer doesn't get us out of here, we're breaking out. My name is Roberto da Costa. I'm the mutant superhero called Sunspot. I'm out of order. You're out of order. The entire universe is out of order. Wow, look at my chin. Good Lord, I'm handsome. So we see that this Shi'ar court looks very much like an Earth court, which is kind of funny. And this this lawyer, I think he's supposed to be a parody of Matt Murdock. But he is nowhere as good as Matt, so let's put that out there. In the good and holy names of Shara and Kithri, I, Space Judge of Shandar Order, submit that I have received the testimony of all the defendants. I have eaten these words, consumed them whole, and found the truth within. Counselor, are your clients ready for my decision? We are, Your Honor, but we would like to stress the alien nature and extracultural background of the accused. Are we in Shi'ar space? Yes. Do we acknowledge the existence of any space that is not now or will not shortly be Shi'ar space? No, Judge. Then what exactly is it you want to stress, Counselor? Nothing, Judge. Okay then, my ruling is this. Guilty. What? Somebody's not getting paid. This charge of guilty carries with it a lifetime sentence. You are hereby remanded into the long-term custody of the Empire. Please follow the guards to the transfer portal. They're right back there. So they're looking pretty defeated now, but when they turn around, they get a pleasant surprise in an old friend. What's up, felons? Don't try to escape. You're our prisoners. Sam! Hey, guys. Good to see everyone's behaving and generally staying out of trouble. Well, you know, give us an inch and we'll take your ass to jail. Speaking of, exactly how does something like that happen? Starjammers. Right, say no more. Those guys are the worst. The worst. Hey, how did you know to come and get us? Funny story. A few years ago, while everyone was sleeping, I snuck into each of your rooms and embedded a tracking device under your skin. It's behind your right ear, except you, Shan. Yours is on your left. Oh my god. I think I feel it in there. I'm kidding. Birdo's space lawyer called. Woke the baby. Wait, so are we or are we not your prisoners? Oh, absolutely. We own you, convict. But don't worry about it too much. We'll hopefully get that taken care of on the way back to Chandelar. So, you guys ready to get out of here? God, yes. How about you, Grumpy? You coming along, or are you just gonna stand there looking sour? I'm coming, I guess. What's your problem, Bobby? Him. What's wrong with me? Nothing. That's the problem. I mean, look at you. It's been months since we've seen each other, and I was expecting you to be a mess. Depressed, out of shape, bad hair, worse complexion. But look at you. Happy, healthy, exceptionally fit? How does that happen? You know, eating right, living right. You, on the other hand, space pirates and prison food. And what's that you're wearing? A jumper? It is itchy. Hey, but this place isn't that bad. Unbelievable. Anyone want to snap him out of this? Allow me, dear. What? Dude, you got blood on your jumper. That's hard to get out. What was that for? Did you know there's a rogue division of Skrull shock troops laying siege to a Shi'ar outpost 2 sectors away? A bunch of the Imperial Guards are there having the time of their lives beating up Skrulls, and I have to be here because Sam technically isn't allowed to take you into custody. To say nothing of the fact that we left the kid at home with someone who is not our regular babysitter to come and babysit you. So maybe get up off your pampered rear end, give your best friend a proper hello, and let's go home, okay? Does my nose look broken? Tough to say, Bobby. I believe this kind of thing has happened before. Did you bring my spare outfit? Of course I did. How could you think I would not? I missed you. Let's get out of here. I love this whole exchange here. Not only does it depict this long-lasting friendship, but also a moment of affection and genuine love between 2 male characters that's platonic and completely pure and real. A lot of times we don't get to see that, so I appreciate that a lot. You know I was going to punch him, right? The line starts in the back, lady. Take a number. Sam's wife, Smasher, outranks him and is pretty high up in the Shi'ar Imperial Guard, especially for somebody from Earth. They're heading back to Chandelar, but they get a message telling them to change their course, basically. Approaching the Stargate, Super Guardian. We're receiving a coded message from the Throne World. It's using the Magister's encryption code. Play it. Let's see what the boss has to say. Super Guardian Smasher. The misfortune of you not being among your fellow guardsmen seems to have found favor in Shara's and Kithri's eyes. For you find yourself exactly where your empire needs you, where I need you. Encoded in this transmission are your orders. Execute them immediately and with vigor. Do not falter. Do not fail. For the Empire. Decode these orders, please. Lux Gloriana. What an honor, Super Guardian. Yeah. When Smasher looks at this message, you can tell that she seems a little worried, but luckily she's got a crew full of misfits that like problems. Send a return message to Chandelar. Tell the babysitter we're going to be running late. So the crew is chilling. You know, they are still technically in custody right now, but they are playing this game. It looks like they're gambling too, a bunch of chips on the table. I don't know where they got all this money from. They actually do not know how to play this game, which is hilarious. Mirage ends up kind of convincing everybody that she's actually won the game when she doesn't even know how to play either. Because Doug ends up saying, no, that's not what it means, because he's the only one that can actually read the cards, but she tells him to shut the hell up. So he just made up a new mutant language? Yes, he did. Krakoan. Whenever a new mutant comes to the island, one of our telepaths downloads it into the new person's brain. Sam and Roberto are catching up about what's been happening on Earth, and especially with Krakoa. Sam seems very impressed, especially with Doug and all he's done. I love the fact that Sam knowingly is doing this to get underneath Roberto's skin because he has such a big ego. So he's of course trying to pick with him about all of Doug's achievements, and especially with somebody who's used to being the top dog all the time. Now it's funny that Cypher is getting a lot more attention. And he also sits on the council. That's basically like the government of the nation. Not in the way you mean. He speaks for the island, translates, something, whatever. Still kind of a seat at the table, right? Yeah, and they didn't ask you. Let's not turn this into a thing. People make mistakes all the time. What's important, Sam, is that you always have forgiveness in your heart. Sure, either way, big things in store for young Douglas, it seems. Yep, and speaking of big things, here comes your wife. Oh, I see. Somebody's still upset they got punched in the nose. Look at this face. It's a work of art. If you walked into the MoMA and started breaking things, they'd call you a vandal. You would go directly to jail. You know what I see when I look at your face? What? The face of a man with forgiveness in his heart. Hello, my lovely birdie. Don't start, either of you. So, I have good news and bad news. The good news is that you've all been officially pardoned for your crimes. I work fast, I work hard, done and done. Huh, you were right, Sam. I do have forgiveness in my heart. What's the bad news? The Magister has conscripted all of you into Imperial service, as the throne has need of such service, and it needs it now. We have a mission. I don't understand, Oracle. Why now? These things are complicated, Your Grace. Many moving parts, many moving pieces. We get this amazing shot of Chandalar, the Shi'ar homeworld, and we meet two of the Imperial advisors, the highest ranking ones. Sybil, otherwise known as Oracle, a very powerful telepath. And we have Mentor, who is almost kind of like Karnak, and he's just really smart and he can strategize. He might be kind of like Sage a little bit. He has parallel thought. He can think of like 3 different things at one time, and he's a great strategist. Mentor, he does represent the militaristic faction of Shi'ar life and that ideology of expansion, because you know the Shi'ar Empire is all about adding into itself and growth, but not everybody feels that way. Some people think that they've got enough and they should batten down the hatches, and the more they spread themselves thin, the weaker they make themselves. Like the intelligence faction, which Oracle is a part of, she represents kind of the school of thought and that ideology that we should consolidate, protect what we have now instead of expanding more. Both of these advisors were brought together by Gladiator, and a very smart move in order to give those two sides of the zeitgeist a voice in what's going on. Tell her the truth. We are long past the luxury of treating Xandra as a child.
Our nearest galactic cluster has fallen. Titans are assembling for war, and we believe they have our empire in their sights.
You are Magister, Gladiator, a fair and just ruler. No one would say otherwise. The throne is yours. This time is yours, not mine. Not yet. If what Mentor says is true, my proper place is not here. Gladiator has been the Magister of the Empire for quite some time, and Xandra is going to inherit the throne eventually. She is very young, even younger than she looks, because she was like hatched from an egg. There was a lot of stuff going on in the past few years, like the War of the Kings and all that kind of stuff. She's finally getting to that point where it's going to be time for her to step up and take her mother's spot and, you know, rule. Whether she's ready or not, that's what it's got to be. Gladiator, I really respect, because he is a warrior. He comes from a warrior race, the Strontians, but they need to be fighting. This is where they shine. They are confidence-based, meaning that they get stronger with more action and more confidence. Him being Magister isn't the type of power that he really craves or really seeks, so he needs to be back in charge of the Imperial Guard, because that's where he is the best. That's where he can do the most to help the Empire. And I think that Xandra does understand that, even though she's getting thrust in this position. She says she's not ready, but just the fact that she says that kind of means that she probably is. The Empire needs a Nirmani on the throne, and it needs me as Praetor of the Imperial Guard. And you think that this is the best course of action? Fair or not, just or not, I rule by might. You will not have that luxury, Sandra. No, you will need guidance of a kind I cannot provide. So I have sent a super guardian to bring us the person most suitable for the task of teaching you the ways of the Imperial Court. Smasher has brought the New Mutants on this mission, and they don't really know what they're going to do just yet, but they go to this strange planet. They approach this facility. I have sent Smasher to bring your aunt home to be your advisor. And we see Miss Deathbird herself, that be Miss Mamas, the one that said Earth is ghetto. Soon, Deathbird will return to ready you to rule. Who else but the most savage, duplicitous, and truly violent person would be best for such a political task? Sam, yeah, I think I'm in love. Interesting stuff. And I'm looking forward to seeing how this goes and what further role will the New Mutants play in royal affairs before they get back to Earth. Picking up with X-Force number 2, in the moments right after the conclusion of X-Force 1, Charles Xavier got assassinated. Some sort of mercenaries skydived and infiltrated the island, killed several mutants, including Charles, and destroyed the Cerebro crown that he had on. If only I had been here. I could have stopped the bullet. If only you were made of metal, I might put you back together. If only, old friend. This was your plan, your island, your future, and so it will remain as long as you return to us. I wouldn't want to imagine what might happen without you. You don't have to. He knew this could happen. We knew this could happen. That doesn't make seeing him down there any easier. But there's a backup system in place. We have to trust that it will work. They knew that something like this could happen, but she still has a level of uncertainty. I think I can fix this. Think I can bring him back. You think. You will. You must. I will. That's what I meant. You do understand, Miss Gray, that we won't be able to hide what's happened here for long. A terrible clock is ticking. And if Charles was wrong, if you're wrong, if the resurrection doesn't work, I understand perfectly well what's at stake. Magneto forms the Cerebro crown into a sword and presents it to Jean. You can see everybody is here gathered around. Beast and Jean are going to a location to activate another Cerebro crown. Charles had placed backup crowns, I believe 4, around the island in case one of the crowns got destroyed. He would have, several backups, of course. He traveled without an escort. He gave speeches, took meetings, shook hands, posed for photos. I could never understand why the professor would make himself so vulnerable. From the moment he declared mutant sovereignty, he must have felt the sword of Damocles hovering over him. He must have known it would one day fall. Of course he knew, Hank. That's why we're here. But Charles didn't want to behave like a king, even though he wore the crown. At any time, only one version of Cerebro can be live. Charles backed up its intelligence to multiple cradles throughout the island. I need you, we need you, to bring Cerebro back online. We bring it back, we bring him back. Theoretically, as a scientist, it's hard for Beast to really grapple with concept as resurrection, even though he knows it's being done. His rationale behind everything is for the pursuit of science. I know you're a scientist, Hank, but what I need right now is blind faith. During the attack on Krakoa, 33 mutant lives were lost, including that of Charles Xavier. He was almost certainly the primary target, an attempt by the enemy to wipe out the figurehead of mutant kind. Cerebro was also destroyed by the kill shot. That the enemy understood its psychic storage and resurrection capacity is unlikely, but not impossible. A homing device was recovered from the body of Xavier. Its location in the stomach indicates it was ingested within 2 hours of the attack. The likely source is the champagne or the crab cake appetizers from the Sokovian treaty ceremony. The catering staff has since been discovered bound and gagged in the trailer of one of their delivery trucks. The weapons and tactical gear collected from the island are unique in their construction and not the product of a known manufacturer. Though this could be coincidental, they bear some initial resemblance to technology connected to a group believed to be disbanded, known as the Reavers. The assassins entered the airspace over Krakoa by diverting and parachuting from a trans-Pacific flight bound from Seoul to Honolulu. All on board are believed to be dead, though the entirety of the bodies and wreckage have yet to be recovered. The assassins appear to be a blend of passengers and crew, all of whom were registered with falsified documents. It is likely that the airport security and/or baggage handlers are also implicated, given the weaponry smuggled on board. Initial inquiries indicate the tickets were purchased by credit cards linked to a hedge fund previously domiciled in the Cayman Islands that no longer exists. An emergency proposal to implement a daily EMP blast to wipe out all traditional electronics on the island has been approved by the Quiet Council. Sage, Dr. Cecilia Reyes, and Black Tom are here in the Healing Gardens doing autopsies on the 3 dead mercenaries. One mercenary is still alive, just barely, after Wolverine nearly ripped him to shreds. Black Tom is beating himself up because he feels like this is all his fault. Their lungs and adrenal glands are oversized. Their musculature carries an abundance of fast-twitch fibers. Their fingers are bald of fingerprints. The skeletal system is protected by reinforced periosteum. Each of them has an extra bone housed in their forearm. It's shaped like a blade and presumably serves as a concealed weapon. So they're outfitted like Reavers. But these are lab-enhanced, Olympian-level human assassins. This is all Black Tom's fault. My own bloody fault. But what is this? Black Tom should be the one with a bullet in his bloody knocker. How many more are still alive, Doc? Just the one, and he's barely holding on. No thanks to you. Keep him that way, but don't you dare make him comfortable. He deserves the hurt. I am not in the business of punishment. I heal. Healing and hurting can be one and the same. Does that one have it too? The skin graft? When Black Tom first alerted me to a possible breach, I dismissed it because the island identified the arriving party as Domino. And in a way, Krakoa was right. It's her. Part of her anyway. They grafted her skin onto their own. Wolverine is pissed. Call Jean in here. Now. She needs to get in this assassin's head while he's still got a pulse. Psychic interrogation. We need to know everything he knows, including whether Domino's alive or dead. If she's dead and they get Cerebro back online, kickstart her resurrection so we can debrief her final moments. Why don't you tell Jean yourself? Because I'm going hunting. They came by air, but they might as well left tracks in the mud. Logan makes his way to Seoul to the airport where the Trans-Pacific flight originated from. He's having trouble, though, getting anything out of their system and out of the computers here. Stupid computer. Stupid ass security software. Stupid piece of... A guard almost catches him, but he is already under some kind of hypnotic trance or some kind of psychic control. I'd ask what the hell is going on, but I know that stink anywhere. Mix up some body spray and strawberry soda and a dash of locker room funk. And you got Kid Omega. Sage sent you? Please, I don't follow orders. I don't entertain requests. I'm here because the professor finally realized what I've been preaching all along. Mutants are f***ing superior. Or at least I am. Whoever did this to the professor might as well have done it to me. They're mine to punish. So this is our first time seeing Kid Omega in the Krakoan era, which is awesome. And he's just as spicy as ever and just as rude as ever. Quentin is uncharacteristically sentimental, I would say. He does mention that Charles is one of the best of us, and he definitely thinks highly of himself. So if he can, this can be done to him, it could be done to me, it could be done to anybody, because that's the peak right there. So he wants to get his pound of flesh. Appreciate the righteous anger, kid, but you should head back to whatever Krakoan preschool you escaped. Don't pretend competency, Grandpa Logan. I mean, honestly, what were you going to do? See if 123 worked as the passcode? Or maybe cigar or bourbon? How'd you know my passcode? Because I could see inside of your thick skull. and it's like a spent ashtray in a Depression-era hobo bar. Newsflash, I didn't follow you here. I was leaving as you showed up. I've already processed the assassin's false IDs. I've already scoured the surveillance footage. I've already spotted the license plate of the vehicle they arrived in and assessed the MOCT database. And while I was at it, I got on Amazon and maxed out your credit card. I don't have a credit card. You do now, along with a truly miserable credit score. Now follow me if you want to stab something. Beast and Jean are hard at work trying to reactivate Cerebro. Jean seems a little bit more nervous. Jean has arguably the biggest part of this, which is to fill in for Charles, download the vast amount of data I could only imagine to re-upload into somebody's brain. That's gotta be incredible. It's not as though you need another reason to worry, Hank, but this is a race. Yes, Jean. Against our attackers, and against ourselves. We're not just trying to bring back Charles, we're trying to stay united. We just built this world. We can't let it fall apart now. I'm trying not to let it distract me, but I can't stop thinking about him lying there. Blind faith, Hank. There's no room for grief when you believe in resurrection. I don't believe in prayer, but I remember a snatch of one. Please, deliver our souls from the sword. And again, we get the reference of a sword come up again. I'm never wrong, Wolverine. But I'll admit, I was expecting a biker bar or a strip club, not a printing press. I hope they have enough ink and paper for the obituaries we're about to write. Kid, I know you have 10 million thoughts a second, but do me a favor and shut up. You're just upset because I keep showing you up. I'm not going to shut up, and neither are they. They're going to scream, and beg, and pray, and scream some more, as they bow down before the gods of their future. A printing factory, it seems to be where these mercenaries' base is, or their hideout, and they discover something really macabre. It's a printing press, but they're not printing papers or magazines. I don't like the way you're talking, and I don't like the smell of this place. They ain't printing books. They're printing bodies. An assassin factory. Meanwhile, Dr. Reyes and Sage are continuing with this autopsy. Every part of these assassins' body is modded to provide some kind of tactical advantage or weaponry. The corpses are like Russian dolls. Every time I think that must be it, another layer surprises me. Their ears, for instance. Instead of cartilage, they're spooled with wire. Ideal for climbing or binding or garroting. Logan knocked out every one of his teeth? No, that was me. Precautionary measure. They were cored with explosive putty. I guess you could say they're cheating evolution. These aren't supermen by any means, but one day the right kind of engineering might make them exactly that. Jean and Sage realize that even though these men were not supermen, they are quite enhanced, and they did manage to kill quite a few people, and one day, with the right technology, they could certainly surpass many mutants. And we saw evidence of that in the future timelines and the human-machine hybrid. So it's already started, and it's been started, but this is a different level. I'm good at reading code, Jean, not minds. But I suspect you're upset about me letting Logan go. He should have consulted the Quiet Council before charging off, but you couldn't have stopped him if you tried. He's doing what he has to do, using his fists, and we're doing what we have to do, using our heads. Jean is going to probe this man, and she takes a dive. Jean? Jean? It's mostly dark. Jean, what do you see? I don't know. What she sees is this peacock. Now, we have seen this pattern before on the man who captured Domino. His tattoo was a peacock, but she doesn't quite know what this is she's looking at. Directly after mutant sovereignty was declared, Charles Xavier asked Domino to investigate a series of shell companies with financial ties to anti-mutant politicians and businesses. There are those who would sign a treaty with one hand while sharpening their dagger with the other, he told her, as she headed into the field. Every day at 2400 hours, she was to uplink all reconnaissance data. One of her leads was Phineas Hook, a 35-year-old Irishman who worked at a Dublin investment firm by day and who moderated several anti-mutant dark web chat rooms by night. On some days, he would use a coffee gift card and then immediately toss the cup in the trash. It seemed to indicate some sort of signal, likely connected to the online account holder, who would check the barcode and note its use. And on some days, he would ready an encrypted email, save it to drafts, and log out. Another entity would then log in to read the message before it was deleted. It was in one of these emails that Domino discovered the itinerary for a trip to Seoul. She followed him there and failed to uplink any further data. She had gone dark. Records now indicate that Phineas Hook does not exist. His birth certificate and address and card title and company and social media accounts are all fake. He is an avatar, which makes Xavier believe that some unknown force knew the mutants were investigating them and lured Domino in intentionally. It must be an awful feeling, knowing you're not enough. I'd feel sorry for humans if they weren't so disgustingly pathetic. This lab is like a chapel devoted to their insecurity. This is a horror show. Honestly, if I ever walked into a place and saw some mess like this, bruh, you're pissed off about Chuck. I am too. But if he was here, he'd slap you upside the head for that kind of talk. I know what Magneto says, but we're not gods. And they ain't devils. And the man has got up, no skin on, and no eyelids, no nut. Baby, I would've hollered, we're all just a bunch of complicated animals fighting for control of the same forest. My powers aren't working. Why the aren't my powers working? And Quentin is freaking out because his powers aren't working, so there's some kind of psionic blocker in this building or on this site here. Psychic shotgun, psychic shotgun, psychic shotgun. I've got nothing. We need to get out of here. We're not going anywhere. This is what we came for. But my powers, I can't. You got fists, you got feet, you got teeth. Animal instinct. Try it out sometime. Ah! Wolverine gets to work slashing up these skinless freaks. It goes without saying, they're trying to hide something. But if there's a psionic dampener on this place, they're more likely trying to hide something. Find her. Find Domino. And he does find her pretty quickly as he goes into the next room and finds Domino inside a stasis tube. Half of her freaking skin is gone, and it's awful. In the pages of Fallen Angels, we are continuing on with Kwanon and her quest for retribution against Apoth, as she doesn't really know enough to actually go after it, confront it head on. Her two would-be allies, Laura Kinney, X-23, and Cable, are both struggling with different but similar kind of personality quirks, I'll say. They both feel out of place there on the island in times of peace, where Laura feels a kind of rage in her all the time. She admires that Kwanon seems to have harnessed and controlled this rage, and she can kind of see it, and she wants to know how to get there. Cable is a child soldier. You know, he grew up in war and is always willing and able to fight and step up to put his life on the line, but he doesn't always have the strategy at this point in his youth. They both have a lot to learn from Kwanon, but Kwanon has a lot to learn from them by the end of this issue. We see a lot of flashbacks with Kwanon, her assassin days, and how she was very good and very efficient at what she did, but she definitely went against what the Hand's teaching were, the teachings of the Hand, because she was compassionate at times when she should have none. They taught their assassins that is weakness, and that having a conscience is ego, that you would self-exalt yourself, that your sense of right and wrong is elevated above all else, and that the world is already dead, but you should feel no guilt, basically. And it's a really, really dark ideology that the Hand has pressed upon so many individuals over the decades and probably centuries, that this assassin, Kwanon, who was known even to regular people as this man proclaims, you're the one that can touch people's minds. Like, you know, she's spoken of almost like a boogeyman or a Baba Yaga, that, you know, the Hand has an assassin that can also like read your mind, which is kind of scary. but she's helping this man get away, and she does ask him, does he have anything that could connect him back to Japan? And he says no. But she does end up killing this man anyway, and later we find out that she helps his wife and his unborn child, she's pregnant, to get out of the country, and gave her some money to get away. And, the woman does cry because she tells her, I did kill your husband, like I was instructed to kill you, but, I'm not going to do that. He'd lied for you and said that he had no one. That's ultimately the reason why she helps this woman, is that she touched the man's mind and felt how much love he had for her and his child that he never got a chance to meet. And she tried to help her get away, but unfortunately the woman was still caught by the hand. They tortured and killed her. And the woman never told about Kwannon. They never told them about Kwannon helping her. This memory has stuck with her for these years. Being good and being a hero is not something that Kwannon ever had the chance to learn, or even witnessed, or had anything to measure to compare that to, until now. She tells Laura and Cable that I could teach you about war and I could teach you about your rage, but I want to learn goodness from you two. This is something I'm gonna have to learn from you two, because it's not natural for her, but she's willing to. And I think that's a really beautiful sentiment for a character that's always been present but never been in control of her own body. She said that Betsy Braddock was the hero and I was only the shell. And I thought that was really deep. I was like, wow. Earlier in the story, Cable came to her to ask to go to a place in Brazil to help a village that was under siege by Apoth's organization, like the cartel version of Apoth, not him actually being there. She initially denies him, saying that we can't keep leaving the island because of the situation of the lockdown, and every time we leave the island, we risk the island turning on us. We have to wait until we have the opportunity to strike at Apoth, so we can't help every person. Cable, knowing that there are children dying there, he says that we can help these people that are suffering. And Kwannon tells him we could, but we're not. So Cable decides that he's going to take it upon himself to do what he has to do. Now, the next sequence is she's having more flashbacks and thinking about the woman, the pregnant woman, and she's thinking about what her master would tell her about her being soft and that one day she would be a butterfly. And this is where we get the story about what the butterfly represents to Kwannon, because we know it was also a connection of a symbol for Betsy as well. She speaks on this here with Mr. Sinister. I am a child begging for porridge. I have no mother, but a woman wraps me in cloth. I am a worm wrapped in silk, waiting for the morning I can fly, when I will be free of myself. The price of my assistance is my satisfaction. Indulge my curiosity. Tell me about your butterflies, Psylocke. For Elizabeth, it meant beauty. She never knew what it meant to me. I said I hated them, the symbol of them. I lied. So, what is the truth? I hated that we had anything in common. I hate that it might have been destiny that put her inside of me. Two butterflies in one body. It's a symbol of my suffering. What was done to me, how I was changed. I keep the butterfly so I can make it mean something else. You want redemption. Perhaps later I can explain why that's so foolish. Consider me an ally. You indulge my interests, and I'll offer you what I can. Go. May you find what you desire. Kwannon does eventually reverse her thoughts on going to Brazil to help out this village, and she tells Cable and Laura that she will teach them what they need to know, and she will learn goodness from them, and we will leave tonight taking only what we need. They go in like thieves in the night, but it's already a weird vibe. All three are feeling it. All three are sensing something is off. Nobody's able to pick up on these strange robotic drones that get the drop on them. This is where the issue pretty much ends. The Fallen Angel story is, I can see why people didn't connect with it as much and why it did get canceled or rolled into another series, which was Hellions. Quanah continues her story into that with Mr. Sinister. So I'll just be kind of dropping in things that I think are interesting about Fallen Angels instead of going deep like I have with the other issues, which I hope you have been enjoying, by the way. If you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and do that now and support me, and share this video with those you think that will enjoy it. I will see you in the next video.